think of any defining moments in your life that led you to where you are today?
When I became aware of gender and gender inequality, and it was when I was 12 years old at church camp in rural northern Indiana, and this was the time when all the states were ratifying the Equal Rights Amendment. And I said, of course I'm in favor of the Equal Rights Amendment. Who's against equality? And a boy punched me in the stomach. And the camp counselors, instead of punishing him, said that I needed to know my place. And so that's when I started thinking about gender in a whole new way. Not until quite late in the game. As we discussed, I did do my senior thesis in college on a topic that was in part law related. I looked at some sexual harassment cases. But I never thought I would go to law school. I grew up in a religion that did not believe in resorting to the courts, so I didn't have any lawyers in my family and didn't have a legal mindset. But after college, I was working at the National Office of Planned Parenthood. I was doing obviously non-legal work, but while I was there, I realized all the people doing the interesting policy work had law degrees. Yeah. And that was the first time where I realized, whoa, you can do law and not be in court all the time. And so that's when I started talking to people about the possibility of going to law school and the range of careers you can have with a law degree. And the next thing I knew, I was in law school.
What was your first job out of law school?
I clerked for a federal judge in Brooklyn Heights, New York, the Eastern District of New York.
And how was that experience?
It was great, but it was also overwhelming at first. You know, here's a federal judge, very important, making decisions that greatly affect people's lives. And on the third day, she just starts asking me all these questions about a case. Like, you know, she just threw me in. And I had read the briefs and I'd done some research. But, you know, she wanted to know my opinion. She's like, Laura, I've hired you for your opinion. And I'm like, who am I? I just graduated from law school. And I was overwhelmed. And I realized I was almost going to cry. And so I decided my only goal for the entire year, it was a year-long job, was not to cry in front of the judge. So I redefined success. So long as I didn't cry, I would succeed. And I did not once cry in front of the judge.
Wow. What has been the most embarrassing and most rewarding experiences in your career? So at any of your jobs?
Embarrassing is hard because I'm often embarrassed the first time I do something because I just don't know.
Uh-huh.
And there have been a few times when I'm expected to speak in front of a group and I'm not quite sure what to say and I get overly shy, and that is embarrassing later on because I'm like, I think of all the things I could have said and yet it didn't come to me at the moment. The most rewarding aspects of my career, probably at least with respect to my teaching career, is when I realized I've planted seeds in students, you know, or in the way students think, that bloom in unexpected ways years later. And so when students come back and say, you probably don't remember this, but one day after class I asked you this question and you told me X and it changed the trajectory of my career. And I'm like, wow. What a wonderful feeling. And, you know, it shows that oftentimes you don't know the effects of your actions. And all you can do is in good faith try to do your job to the best of your ability. In this case, teach students as effectively as possible. And you never know in what direction it will go.
What is your favorite quote and why?
Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
That's a good one.
It's a quote I learned in law school while we were intensely involved in the moot court competition. And it was the first time I had ever heard that saying. And it really helped me get beyond some of my perfectionistic tendencies that were paralyzing me.
Yes.
And now here at the law school, I often use that as a way to motivate change. If we wait until we have what we think is a perfect plan, or that we have the perfect way to implement something, we're never going to be able to move forward. And because in part, to achieve change, you have to experiment. You have to try things. And you're not always going to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can embrace the mindset, we're not going to let the perfect be the enemy of the good, we can at least work toward the good.
Thank you. And thank you so much for meeting with us, or with me, with us.
Thank you all. Thank you.